In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 8, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Brooklyn Nets versus Charlotte Hornets. 2 Eastern Conference teams are set to face off on the hardwood in Buzz City as the Brooklyn Nets take on the Charlotte Hornets on Saturday evening. The Nets are coming off a tough 121-119 home loss to the Golden State Warriors on Thursday night, but they managed to cover the spread as 11.5-point underdogs. Meanwhile, the Hornets suffered a narrow 118-117 defeat at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday night, also covering the spread as 16-point underdogs. Historically, the Nets have had the upper hand in the regular season series, holding a 70-58 advantage over the Hornets. Brooklyn has won the last 3 matchups, including a 97-89 victory at home in their most recent meeting on February 10th. The Nets will still be without Cameron Johnson, who remains sidelined, while the Hornets are expected to roll out the same lineup they used in last night's game. Both teams have had a rough season so far, sitting near the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. Brooklyn has been decent against the spread on the road, posting a 19-12-1 record in those games. On the other hand, Charlotte has struggled mightily at home, and their overall performance has been lackluster. The Hornets rank second worst in scoring offense and are the worst shooting team in the league in terms of field goal percentage. This offensive ineptitude could give the Nets a significant edge, as they're likely to capitalize on Charlotte's struggles. Neither team is entering this game with any momentum. The Nets are riding a 6-game losing streak, while the Hornets have lost 9 consecutive games. Brooklyn still has a slim chance of making the play-in tournament, which should provide some motivation for them to turn things around. Charlotte, however, is playing the second game of a back-to-back and their 3rd game in 4 nights, which means fatigue will likely be a factor. Add in the Hornets' struggles in the second game of back-to-backs, their rotation issues, and their injury concerns, and it's easy to see why the scales tip in favor of the Nets. It's a bit surprising to see the Nets favored in this matchup, given their 6-game losing streak. However, this has more to do with how poorly the Hornets have been playing. Charlotte hasn't won a game since February 19th, and most of their losses during this stretch have been blowouts. While both teams have been struggling, there's a clear difference in the level of their struggles. The Hornets are in a particularly rough spot, as they say. The Nets, despite their issues, are the healthier team and have been playing slightly better basketball overall. Even with their offensive woes, the Nets have the edge in this matchup. Expect Charlotte to fade late in the game, leading to another loss. Betting on the Hornets in this situation isn't a wise move. As our first pick for this matchup, the Brooklyn Nets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. If you look at the numbers, it's almost as if these teams are allergic to scoring. They're tied for the 2nd worst offense in the league in terms of points per game, only ahead of a struggling Orlando Magic squad. The Hornets are dead last in field goal percentage, while the Nets are 2nd worst. Over their last 10 games, Brooklyn has averaged just 105 points per game, which is slightly below their season average. Charlotte has been even worse during that stretch, averaging only 100.7 points per game. In their last 10 games, the Hornets have scored 96 points or fewer 4 times, with 2 other games where they scored exactly 100 points and one where they reached 101. The under has been a solid bet in Hornets games this season, with a 37-23-1 record overall and a 21-10-1 mark at home. For the Nets, the under is 17-15 in their road games and 6-4 in their last 10 contests. Both teams rank in the top half of the league in defensive scoring, but they're also among the worst in offensive production, with the Hornets ranking 3rd worst and the Nets ranking 2nd worst. 2 of the 3 meetings between these teams this season have stayed under the total, and given the lack of firepower on both sides, this game is likely to be another low-scoring affair. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New Orleans Pelicans versus Houston Rockets. The Pelicans are heading to Texas this Saturday night to face off against the Rockets. Currently sitting in 14th place in the Western Conference, the Pelicans are likely destined for the NBA draft lottery once the season wraps up. On the other hand, the Rockets are holding strong in 5th place, just half a game behind the Memphis Grizzlies. This matchup could be pivotal for Houston as they look to solidify their position in the standings. New Orleans continues to deal with injuries as Herbert Jones, Bruce Brown, and DeJounte Murray remain sidelined. The Rockets are also missing Fred VanVleet, but they're coming off a win against the Pelicans on Thursday and should ride that momentum into Saturday's game. Houston started slow in their last meeting but found their rhythm in the second half. They'll need to bring that energy from the opening tip this time around. Statistically, the Rockets have been better against the spread this season, going 34 to 28 to 1, while the Pelicans have struggled, sitting at 25 to 37 to 1. Houston will aim to complete the sweep of this home and away series on Saturday night. They've already beaten the Pelicans in all 3 matchups this season, covering the spread in each game. New Orleans, meanwhile, has had a tough time on the road, securing only 6 wins away from home this year. The Rockets, on the other hand, have been dominant at home, boasting a 20-10 record. Given their recent performances against the Pelicans, including 2 convincing wins, Houston is poised to control this game. The Rockets have covered the spread in 2 of their last 3 games, while the Pelicans are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4. With Houston chasing a top 4 seed in the West, they'll look to roll past New Orleans to keep their hopes of home court advantage in the first round alive. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Rockets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Even though Thursday's game finished with just 206 points, I'm leaning toward the over in this one. Houston has shown they can score against New Orleans, and their first half struggles from the last game likely won't repeat here. The Rockets are 31 to 31 to 1 when it comes to hitting the over this season, while the Pelicans are 36 to 26 to 1. Both teams play at a fast pace. New Orleans ranks 10th with a pace of 102.1, and Houston is close behind at 101.8. This sets the stage for an up-tempo game with plenty of scoring opportunities. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards versus Toronto Raptors. The Washington Wizards are set to take on the Toronto Raptors at Scotiabank Arena in what promises to be an exciting NBA matchup. This game marks the second time these Eastern Conference rivals will face off this season. Their previous encounter on January 29th saw the Raptors dominate with a 106-82 victory. Historically, Toronto has had the upper hand in this series, winning 8 of the last 10 games straight up and covering the spread in all 8 of those wins. Additionally, the under has hit in 7 of those 10 matchups, suggesting a trend toward lower scoring games when these teams meet. Injury concerns could play a role in this game. The Wizards might be without Richaun Holmes and Jordan Poole, as both are listed as questionable. On the other hand, the Raptors will definitely be missing Emmanuel Quickley and Chris Boucher due to injuries. However, Toronto is expected to welcome back R.J. Barrett, who was rested during their game last night. Rebounding will likely be a critical factor in this matchup, as Washington has struggled on the glass this season, ranking 28th in the league with a 48.2% total rebounding rate. Toronto, meanwhile, sits in the middle of the pack at 16th with a 49.9% rebounding percentage. Perimeter defense will also be crucial, with the Wizards allowing opponents to shoot 36.6% from 3, and the Raptors holding teams to 35.4%. The Wizards have shown some signs of life recently, securing 3 wins in their last 5 games. However, the Raptors have been slightly more impressive, splitting their last 10 games and demonstrating more consistency overall. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Scoring trends could also come into play. The over has hit in 19 of Toronto's 32 home games this season and in 7 of their 11 games played on no rest. Despite potential injury issues, the Wizards are well positioned to push the pace and turn this into a high-scoring affair. They rank 4th in the NBA in pace, which should create plenty of scoring opportunities. Toronto, however, has struggled defensively near the rim, ranking 25th in rim defense and 23rd in opponent two-point percentage. The Raptors should be relatively fresh for this back-to-back, especially if Barrett and Jakob Poeltl return after sitting out on Friday. Washington's defensive weaknesses, ranking last in rim defense and 23rd in three-point defense, could be exploited by Toronto. who attempt the third most shots at the rim. Expect the Raptors to dominate in the paint, potentially scoring 60 to 70 points. While not as fast-paced as the Wizards, Toronto still ranks 7th in offensive possession length, ensuring the game maintains a quick tempo. Both teams have a history of playing at a high pace against each other. The Wizards currently rank 4th in the NBA with a pace of 102.16, while the Raptors are 16th at 99.77. Additionally, both squads have had trouble limiting second chance points, with Washington allowing 15.5 per game and Toronto giving up 14.5. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Indiana Pacers versus Atlanta Hawks. The Indiana Pacers, who currently hold a 35-26 record, are gearing up to take on the Atlanta Hawks, sitting at 29-34 in a rematch at State Farm Arena on Saturday, March 8, 2025. This game comes just days after their previous showdown, adding an extra layer of intensity as both teams look to assert dominance. In their last meeting on Thursday night, the Hawks managed to secure a hard-fought 124-118 victory. It was a gritty performance from Atlanta, but the Pacers will be eager to even the score in this upcoming clash. The Pacers might find themselves shorthanded once again, as Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin are both listed as questionable for the game. On the other side, the Hawks have their own injury concerns, with Caris LeVert and Terrence Mann also questionable. Despite these potential absences, the Pacers have been a powerhouse on offense this season. They rank 10th in points per game and 3rd in field goal percentage. Their ability to score efficiently, combined with a 6th-ranked three-point shooting percentage, gives them a significant advantage against Atlanta's struggling defense. The Hawks' defensive woes are well documented, as they rank 27th in points allowed and 29th in opponent field goal percentage. These weaknesses are areas the Pacers can exploit, especially given their recent dominance in this matchup. Indiana has won 5 of the last 6 head-to-head games outright and covered the spread in 4 of those contests. If Tyrese Halliburton, who averages 18.5 points and 8.9 assists per game, is able to return, it would provide a major boost to Indiana's already potent offense. However, even without him, the Pacers have shown they can compete, thanks to standout performances like Pascal Siakam's 35-point game recently. This is one of those matchups where checking the lineups before tip-off is crucial, as both teams have key players listed as questionable. The Hawks managed to pull off a win on Thursday, but their struggles prior to that game make it unsurprising that the Pacers are opening as favorites here. Trae Young was instrumental in Atlanta's victory last game, putting on a passing clinic to secure the win. Halliburton, who missed that game, remains a game-time decision for the rematch. Atlanta enters this home game sitting in 9th place in the Eastern Conference, with the 10th place team trailing by several games. The Hawks are likely headed for the play-in tournament, while the Pacers, who had won 6 of their last 8 games before Thursday's loss, are fighting for a higher seed. I expect Halliburton to suit up and help Indiana secure the win in this rematch. The Pacers rank 3rd in effective field goal percentage, and while they don't take a lot of threes, Halliburton has been on a hot streak from beyond the arc. Although the Hawks won the most recent game, the Pacers have taken 5 of the last 6 matchups between these teams. Indiana has also been the stronger team over the past month, playing with more consistency and purpose as they push for a better playoff position. Meanwhile, the Hawks have looked like a team ready for the season to wind down for some time now. They're also 2 games below .500 at home, which doesn't inspire much confidence. While it wouldn't be shocking to see the Hawks pull off another upset, the Pacers have been the more reliable team throughout the season. I expect them to bounce back and get their revenge in this game. As our first pick for this matchup, the Indiana Pacers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both teams are among the top 10 in pace, and while their last game barely went over the total, this rematch could see more points. Halliburton has been exceptional from three-point range lately, hitting 51.3% of his 7.8 attempts per game over his last 10 outings. As a team, Indiana is shooting 37.6% from deep, ranking 6th in the NBA. Despite not taking many threes, they've been efficient. Atlanta, on the other hand, gives up the 3rd most points per game but can also score at a high rate, averaging the 6th most points per game and the 3rd most points in the paint. However, they also allow over 50 points in the paint per game, the 5th most in the league. Both teams thrive in high-scoring games, with Indiana averaging 117 points and Atlanta also putting up 117 points. Defensively, neither team has been particularly strong. Indiana allows 115 points per game, while Atlanta gives up 120 points. Recent matchups between these teams have also trended toward high scores. In their last 6 games, the Pacers have averaged averaged 140 points against the Hawks. This season, Atlanta's last 5 games have all gone over the total, with each game combining for at least 242 points. With both teams playing at a fast pace, Atlanta ranks second in pace and Indiana 8th. This game should feature plenty of possessions and points. If Halliburton and Trae Young both play, expect even more offensive fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.